There is no doubt that the Netherlands have a rich history when it comes to the Euros. Yes, there have been some darker times recently, but no matter, they are back, reinvigorated with an exciting 26-man squad for Euro 2020. But who is going to be in the starting 11? That's what I'm here to take a look at, so let's get into it. Since taking over at the helm back in September 2020, Frank de Boer does tend to go for a 4-3-3 formation, which is what we are going to go with today. So, starting off with the goalkeeper, and it actually is a little bit tricky. Of course, Jasper Cillessen has been the goalkeeper that the Netherlands have trusted over the years between the sticks, but with Valencia this season, it's not been great. He has, of course, been out with some muscle and thigh injuries. He's not had enough playing time at the end of the day, so I cannot see him starting. And then there's Martin Stekelenburg. He, of course, does have a lot of experience. He's 38 years of age, especially recently, of course, with Andre Onana, who does face a 12-month doping ban with Ajax. He has managed to fill in for him now, but again, I just feel like he's a little bit too over the hill for this one, so I'm actually going to go with Tim Krul. He has had such a phenomenal season with Norwich. He's been such a vital cog in the machine as the club have battled to not only win the Championship and also get Premier League promotion. I think that some of the experiences that he will have had this season, definitely some trying and testing times, will definitely come in handy in the Euros. So for me, he definitely has to start. Heading over to the right-back position now, and of course, Hans Hatboer has not been selected in the 26-man squad. He has been a player that has filled in a little bit from time to time. It seems like there is only one main right-back that has been selected. It doesn't surprise me. It's got to be Denzel Dumfries, and he will definitely be starting. The manager de Boer in interviews has allegedly already said that Dumfries is his number one in that right-back position. That is who he backs all the way. So it doesn't really surprise me that Hatboer hasn't got a spot. Of course, there is Joel Veltman. He can also help out in that right-back position. But yeah, it seems like Dumfries is the one that's going to get it. He's had a lot of game time this season. He's been really impressive, and I think the fact that there is no real out-and-out right-back in contention with him in that 26-man squad just shows how much faith the manager does have in Dumfries. So with the right-back position covered, let's take a look at those two centre-backs. And yes, I know what everybody's thinking. There is, of course, an enormous Virgil van Dijk-shaped hole in this Netherlands defence. He is certainly going to be missed. It is such a shame that he couldn't get fit for the Euros, and hopefully we will see him at 100% fitness back for Liverpool when the new season starts. But don't get me wrong, there are still some really, really talented defenders for the Netherlands. So I think in the centre-back roles, we're definitely going to see Matthijs de Ligt, who has had a really good season with Juventus. And I'm also going to go for Inter Milan's Stefan de Vrij in this starting 11. Now, normally, if I'm being honest, I would have looked at de Ligt and Daley Blind, because although Daley Blind is a little bit older, he does have that added experience. And we have seen de Ligt and Blind link up a couple of times for the international team already. But of course, as we all know, Blind has had ankle surgery. He's recovering from that. He is in the 26-man squad, so he will definitely be at the Euros. But I'm just not going to put him in the starting 11 because I do worry that his fitness may not be at 100%. If he was fully fit, maybe he would take the spot of de Vrij. But when you look at de Vrij, he has had a brilliant season with Inter Milan. Of course, they have lifted that Serie A trophy. I think that he's really, really competent in that role. So I'm not too worried about him being in that position. And of course, Daley Blind will act as a great understudy alongside the likes of Nathan Ake, who I think has been so unfortunate. Of course, Ruben Diaz and John Stones have linked up really well. He's not really had enough game time, so that's definitely why I'm going to go with de Ligt and de Vrij. There is also Joel Veltman, who I did mention before, who can play not only in the right-back position, but in the centre-back role as well, and could offer a little bit of versatility. You've then got Jurrien Timber, who, although he is only 19, he has been so impressive for Ajax this season, so they definitely do have some options regarding understudies. As for de Ligt, I just feel like he was a dead cert in this team. He is one of those names that always comes at the top of the list when you're thinking about the Netherlands national team. Although Juventus on the whole haven't been great this season, I think he's still had a really good season, and he definitely has to start for the Netherlands. So with my two centre-backs confirmed, let's take a look at left-back. And for me, this one's one of the easier ones when it comes to picking this Netherlands starting 11. For me, it has to be Owen Wijnaldum. The fact that we've seen him playing in this position so consistently of late for the national team just proves to me that he is definitely the first choice. I mean, of course, there is Patrick van Aanholt, who can fill in that position, and even if there's an issue, maybe if he's not fit, of course, Nathan Ake and Daley Blind can fill in, who I've mentioned before. before. But for me, Wijnaldum is definitely going to be starting. There's no other major competition for this one, so that is definitely who is going to be at left back. So we've got through the goalkeepers and the defenders. As we head into the midfield, it gets a little bit more interesting. So looking at these three midfielders, starting in central midfield, and I've got to go with Frenkie de Jong. Is there any other player that I could have mentioned? I mean, he is arguably one of the most important players in this Netherlands side, and since his debut back in September 2018, he has just become more and more important as each game goes by. Whether it's his press resistance, his creativity under De Boer, or his raw talent, he is just proving time and time again why he has to be in this starting 11. And I think he does so for Barcelona as well. Now, it's probably not all been plain sailing for him, but let's face it, with Barcelona at the moment, is anything plain sailing? I think he's still managed to demonstrate his talent and his ability with his team in Spain, as well as for the national team. So yeah, there's nothing really negative that I can think of as a reason why he wouldn't be in this starting 11. De Jong definitely starts. So with arguably one of the easier options in midfield as to who I would pick out of the way, who is going to be alongside him, I have gone with Georginio Wijnaldum. Now, of course, these two players, De Ligt and Wijnaldum, have paired up so many different times for the international team. They work really well, and who knows, in the future we could even see them pairing up for Barcelona as well. Now, Wijnaldum will be taking over as Van Dijk as captain for the national side in the Euros, and I've got high expectations for him. The great thing about Wijnaldum is his ability to, of course, hold the ball and navigate play from midfield, but also that he's able to flex his attacking muscles. And if you cast your minds back to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, he actually scored some brilliant goals. He brings a great balance of steel and elegance to the side, and he is a dead cert to be in the starting 11. So the final piece of the midfield puzzle, if you're looking at maybe more of an attacking role, which Wijnaldum can definitely play if he's needed. We've seen him do it before, but for me in the starting 11, it's got to be Davy Klaassen. Now, there have been some reports that he could have a calf injury. Whether this is true or not, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Calf injury or no calf injury, he has to be in this starting 11. He is just one of these players that has really, truly deserved and earned his place in this team. Of course, he made his comeback to Ajax. I think a few people were a little bit sceptical about him. He has proven all of the haters and all of the doubters wrong. He has been electrifying in midfield for Ajax and was definitely a very important piece of the puzzle when it came to them lifting those 2 cups this season. It's actually quite funny because you think Klaassen has almost kind of replaced Donny van de Beek for Ajax, and in a way he's kind of replaced him for the national team as well. I do feel that if the Euros had taken place last year as planned, Donny van de Beek would be starting above Klaassen 100%, but since this move to Manchester United, it hasn't worked out. He's been a little bit of a flop, he's not had enough game time, he's not been performing to the best of his ability. Do I think that the talent is still there? 100%, and I really do hope that he does get a chance at the Euros, but regarding being in the starting 11, he's definitely not going to cut it. And of course, also waiting in the wings is Ryan Gravenberch. The 19-year-old has been fantastic for Ajax. It's been great to see the young talent perform, and I'm really excited to see him shine in the Euros. I hope that he does get a few chances to play, as like I say, he has been super impressive domestically. And then, of course, there is the likes of Martin de Roon and Teun Koopmeiners, who are also in the mix and definitely are very, very good understudies that can fill in as and when needed, especially de Roon if they want more of a defensive player. But for me, it has to be De Jong, Wijnaldum and Klaassen in that starting 11. So with the midfield done and dusted, let's head over to the front three. We will start with the wingers, of course. I think quite a few people were surprised that Ryan Babel and Calvin Stengs did not get a look in, never mind the 26-man squad, but even the provisional squad before that. But I think I know who is going to be in this right wing position. It's got to be Steven Berghuis. I feel like he is 100% the man for the job. We have seen him so consistently playing in this position on the right wing for the international team. I couldn't really imagine anybody else taking that spot from him. Of course, Anwar El Ghazi, who does play for Aston Villa, was in the provisional squad but hasn't ended up making it. I can kind of understand that one. Of course, Steven Bergwijn as well hasn't managed to make it. But one player that has is Cody Gakpo, who has had a brilliant season. He 100% deserves his spot in this team, and I'm really hoping that maybe we do get to see them interchange occasionally so he can display his talents. But regarding the starting 11, Berghuis 100% will be starting, and there is nothing that I can see changing that. So heading over to the left wing now, and this player is arguably one of the stars of the show. Of course, it is Donyell, who has actually scored more goals this season than any other player in this starting 11. Quincy Promes did make it into the 26-man squad. Hopefully we will get to see him, but for me, Marlon is definitely taking this spot. Of course, I am not forgetting that Marlon can play extremely competently in the centre forward role as well. I think perhaps we will see him in that role as well, but I just feel like on that left wing, he's also extremely comfortable. We've seen him playing there for the national team before, so this is why I've put him on the left wing. Like I say, Marlon can definitely play in the striker role, but I have saved this spot for somebody very special, arguably another star of the show, arguably the most important player in this starting 11, depending on your opinion, a player you could not leave out of a Euro squad. It is, of course, Memphis Depay. He has had a brilliant season for Lyon. Let's hope that the goals continue to come for the Netherlands, and I'm really excited to see what he is going to bring to the table. Now, there is Wout Weghorst, who will have a lot of eyes on him after such an impressive campaign for Wolfsburg, and I'm sure he will get his moments. Then, of course, there is the reliable Luke de Jong, who, let's be honest, hasn't been great for Sevilla this season, but he still manages to pull it out of the bag somehow when he puts on that orange shirt. But like I say, Depay will be starting for me. One thing that I did want to mention, because of course Depay can play on the left wing as well, we've seen him do that before, and I think the thing with Marlon and Depay is that we are going to see them swap round because they can switch so fluidly. Depay can of course play through the centre with Marlon on the left, which is what I expect to be seen from the starting 11, but if they do decide to go for a target man like Weghorst or De Jong, I do feel like Depay could then switch out onto the left wing, maybe Marlon on the bench, so that one of those two players can also have their time on the pitch. However, whichever way it turns out for me, this is my starting 11, and I think this is such an exciting Netherlands team, and I cannot wait to see them performing at the Euros. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section who would be in your starting 11. As always, check out all the other content that we've got here, and until next time, I will see you all later.